Okay, so when it comes to foiling on candles, it's actually, we say foiling on candles, you don't foil onto the candle, you create the illusion of having foil onto the candle, and that's what I'm going to teach you now, okay? So I've got just a regular pillar candle here. You can either use the regular candles or you can use one of those fake candles that's got like the fake light in the front, as long as it's got wax on the outside. And what you need is some wax-proof or grease-proof paper. So I've just got the white grease-proof paper here, but it's exactly the same. You know, the brown stuff, the baking parchment that you use, they all work exactly the same. So you need a piece of baking parchment grease-proof paper here. You also need some tissue paper, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that, the die, it's not really a die, they're more stamps, foiling stamps. I've got here, do more of what makes you sparkle. So we're going to foil this onto the tissue paper, and I'm going to show you how to put the tissue paper into the candle, all right? So here we go, foil press is all nice and heated up. This is a small die, so you only need 10 seconds. And I'm going to cut myself a tiny little piece of foil ready. So, and I'm getting all this ready before I put this on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to use a little shim. So when we say shim, just a little piece of cardstock. Now what I'll do is I will move this over so that you can all see the timing. There we go. We've got 10 seconds on our foil press. So what we do is we put our foil stamp on here, start the countdown timer. You're going to take that lovely foil, so that's the rose gold foil with it's the rose foil with the rose gold fleck in it. Once this counts down to 0, it will start and beep at you. You're going to go face down with this, put your tissue paper that we're going to foil onto, and then I'm just going to support it with the extra piece of cardstock shim. And it's just because my tissue paper is so fine that we need to kind of put an extra little bit of support in there. Notice I lifted that off and then offered it in the gem. You don't lift it up, you pull it gently towards you, then it goes into the foil press. Now this technique with the candle, you can do it with anything that you've foiled, you can do it with anything you've stamped, you can do it with printouts if you want. Let me show this. If I show you to the close-up camera, I always think this is the magic moment, right? So we peel this away. So that has foiled perfectly onto that piece of tissue paper. So just very fine tissue. You know what I use? I use, you know when you buy things and they come wrapped up in tissue paper? I use all of the wrapped bits of, I use the wrapping paper and then I just iron it nice and flat. Now, we're not going to use that for a few seconds, but I'm just letting it get warm back through. Let's have a look. If I get my candle in, what you need to use with your candle is a heat gun. So I'm just going to plug mine in down here. So you need a heat gun, and a hairdryer will work for this if you don't have a heat gun. And then watch what we're going to do. We're going to take this, we're going to wrap this around. Now it's a little bit bigger. Well, it should be all right. I'll show you the technique. We're going to wrap this around the candle. And then what you're going to do is you're going to wrap the candle in that grease-proof paper that we had, or wax paper, or whatever it is you call it, and hold it at the back. So what you're doing is you're keeping the surface of the candle nice and smooth. Make sure any of these little wrinkles or whatever, you've got them worked out. There we go. Got them all worked through so it's nice and smooth. And then what you do is you just come on with your heat gun, and I'm just going to heat over the edge of the candle. And what it does is it melts the front of the candle a tiny little bit. Can you see that starting to change? Melts the front of the candle, and it melts that tissue into the front part of the candle. Now you only want to melt, as soon as you see it kind of melt in, you want to move on to the next section, because what you don't want is to over melt the candle. So just a little bit, keep that moving a lot, just melting that into the front, and I can feel it starting to go, but you're keeping the shape of the candle because you've got that grease-proof paper or your wax paper holding that lovely shape. So, going all the way around there, I'm going to turn this off, and what you'll see is on the surface some little bits of wax have come through the greaseproof paper. That's fine. It's come through the greaseproof paper, it's come through the tissue paper. See, when I peel this off, can you see there? You can see how it's left a little bit of wax on here. But now if you look, you will have no idea where the tissue ends and where the foiling starts, because it's as though that has been foiled, and I'm going to go right up close there. It's as though that's been foiled into the front of the candle. Isn't that incredible? Now, that's the candle. What looks really awesome is when we put the candle in some awesome packaging. So what I've got is just a cellophane bag, just a regular cellophane bag, and we're going to foil the outside, so the burst in this case, onto the cellophane bag, okay? Now, what you need to do, again, because the cellophane's fine, like the tissue was, you're going to pop a little piece of card, because we also don't want to get any embossing or foiling through to the back. So I've cut a piece of card just exactly the same size as the cellophane bag. I'm going to bring this back in so you can see. Now, because this die is larger, this one needs 20 seconds. So I'm going to go all the way up to 20 seconds, pop this on, press the start button, and we're going to count down that 20. Now again, what you need to do is just cut a piece of foil that is big enough to cover that whole piece. A little bit of a tip of mine, I always cut the foil larger than what I need, because, and it's not wasteful, because we can then use this excess piece of foil and we can foil it onto something else. In fact, I can show you that. So there we have the top. We're going to go face down, always face down, so that the rose gold bit is touching your foil. I've got my bag, so we're going to foil onto the bag. So we're going to pop that on the front there. Again, we've got the shim built in this time, so we put the lid on, just pull it gently towards you, turn it round, and that's going to go into our Gemini machine. And the Gemini is just the perfect mix of pressure, and you've got the right mix of heat coming from the heated bottom plate there. The mix of heat and pressure is just going to transfer it perfectly onto that cello bag. So that when we take this off, here we go. And again, you peel this away, you can see there you've got that burst coming onto the front of your cellophane bag. When I then lift this out, so we don't need the rest of this, lift this away there, that should then, if I've got my sizings kind of right here, if I pop my candle in, it should just give me the perfect, do more of what, oh, maybe that should have just foiled a little bit further to the bottom. Further up the bag, sorry. There we go. Because you want the do more of what makes you sparkle. There we go. Do more of what makes you sparkle. Tie it at the top, and we're just going to tie it with a piece of that rose gold ribbon. And that is how you make a perfect little homemade gift with your foiling, with your beautiful rose gold foiling, onto the candle, and then the matching little bag to put it in. Isn't that incredible?